They were the greatest seafarers of all time. The Polynesians conquered the Pacific thousands of years ago in simple wooden sailing boats like these and settled thousands of islands. Polynesia. We are on board a modern replica Vaca, as the Polynesians called their boats. En route to Tokelau, 3 lonesome atolls in the middle of the Pacific, who have become pioneers in power generation. Tokelau is the first nation on Earth that has switched its power generation to 100% solar. We want to see how that has changed their lives. Our first destination is Atafu, the northernmost atoll. Its lagoon is surrounded by small islets called motus, which offer very limited space to live. While the surf pounds the reef, a turquoise lagoon fills the inside. Only the flat motus offer some space to live. The water world of atolls, the narrow space between ocean and lagoon, is unique amongst the landscapes of this world. We sail through the lagoon with local fishermen. Nowadays, aluminium boats have replaced the vacas. In the shallow waters of the reef, fishermen cast their lines for the small reef fish. Fish are the staple diet for atoll dwellers, and they are still aplenty. The fishermen have dispersed themselves widely over the reef. A bird's-eye view reveals the reef as the crater rim of a volcano, which separates the lagoon from the ocean. Collective fishing is part of a social system called inati, in which all work and all resources are shared. The women prepare the men's catch right on the beach. Coconut flesh is the most important ingredient. The fish are wrapped in aluminium foil and cooked in an earth oven, another old Polynesian tradition. Coconuts are grated and their milk squeezed out.
And this is, we call this baihu, the coconut baihu. So this is our food to go with the fish. I think if you taste this, tastes like a yogurt.
Rice is added and the shared meal is ready. Aluminium foil is indispensable in modern South Seas cuisine. Before, it used to be banana leaves.
Everything we do here on our beautiful island, we all share, everyone share. There's no rich, there's no poor on our island. Beautiful.
The Taupulega, the Council of Grey Hairs, rules everything in the Inati system. Some sort of ancient communism. The old men decide which work needs to be done and how the resources are shared. There is a basic wage for everybody, financed by aid from New Zealand. For that, every adult has to do communal work, like roadworks, fishing, or nursing. The women arrange sumptuous food parcels. The fish is supplemented with starchy crops like taro or bananas. Especially the old and fragile, who can't go out fishing anymore, get their share, their inati. Rehearsals in the community hall, songs and dances of Atafu, to be performed at a church festival. Electric light in the community hall for the whole evening would have been unthinkable a short while ago. At the far end of the motu is the solar power plant that has supplied power for the whole island since 2013. Here, close to the equator, the sun gives away its energy very generously. The diesel generators that used to produce power at certain times of day are nowadays only used as a backup. Every single drum had to be shipped 500 kilometers by ferry from Samoa. Instead of the rattling of generators, now only the rustle of palm leaves is heard. Solar power gives Tokelauans a whole new mobility with solar-charged electric golf carts. Our vaka is visited by a fisherman in a traditional wooden boat. It is a handcrafted vaka. Atafu is the island of boat builders. It always had the right trees from which one could carve a hull. The old Polynesian art of boat building has survived here till today. These men are carving parts for a boat, a paddle for instance, or a water container. Models serve as a gift or a toy, ancient Polynesian craftsmanship. We sail to the next atoll. In the open ocean, we get a feeling for what it meant for the Polynesian seafarers to venture out into the boundless expanse of the Pacific without knowing if there were islands at all, thousands of years ago without a compass or GPS. From Atafu to the middle atoll of Nukunonu. It's about 90 kilometers. From this perspective, it becomes clear that atolls actually are underwater volcanoes, whose rims are sticking out of the ocean. Our vaka is called Rangi, which means heaven. It was built following traditional Polynesian design, right down to the cut of the sail, by the German Ocean Foundation, Okeanos. However, the modern features, these solar panels, drive 2 electric motors and propellers, in case there is no wind. The hulls are made of fiberglass instead of wood. And the cockpit has everything that is needed nowadays for navigation. But it's only for emergencies. The crew, young Polynesians from Tahiti, Cook Islands and Samoa, are here to learn classic Polynesian navigation, following stars and natural phenomena at sea. Rangi is one of 7 training boats, built by Okeanos for this purpose. The descendants of the early Polynesian navigators are reviving this ancient art and passing it on to others. Jamal is from the Cook Islands. He's our first officer. Can he navigate the Vaca without GPS?
I would be. For our courses for the short courses that we're doing on this trip, easy.
And how does he know that islands are near?
Well, whether there's daylight or not, the cues are confused swell. So it could either be reflecting off or refracting from an island. Other cues would be birds. Birds would be flying from an island or flying back, certain birds. During daylight, in the right conditions, the discolorment of clouds hitting the Offa Lagoon or blue turquoise water, if there's any. If the island is high enough, the clouds would be stopped by the mountains.
Arrival in Nukunonu. We have to drop anchor at the outer reef because the mouth of the lagoon is too narrow. Nukunonu is the largest atoll of Tokelau, with a 100 square kilometre lagoon. The inhabitable land area, however, is only 5 square kilometres. Here, the solar plant is outside the village, in the same place the diesel generators once were. Here we meet a technician from the New Zealand solar company which installed the facility. With the help of a local technician, he checks the functioning of the plant.
Currently we are almost 9 o'clock in the morning. The batteries are at about 75%, which is a good level for them to be at in the morning. They would have been near 100% state of charge as of yesterday. So they would have lost 20 or 25% overnight from the batteries. They're currently charging at about 75 kilowatts into the batteries, and their loads are sitting at around 30 kilowatts, which is a fairly standard day for this island.
Hundreds of inverters, a German product, convert the solar energy into household power. More than 1,000 lead-acid batteries store the power.
So we have the ability to completely control this computer from overseas. So if there's ever a fault or a problem that they have a question on, we can dial into the computer, help diagnose the problem, and potentially even change some settings in the system to help rectify the problem and keep them going.
The old generators still serve as a backup in case the solar power fails because of a long period of bad weather or a rat chewing on a cable. The old empty oil drums have found a new use.
As moisture and stuff gets on the top, you'll get an actual electrical current flowing from...
In general, the capacity of the batteries can supply enough power even through a fairly long rainy period. With a total output of 1 megawatt for all 3 islands, Tokelau has the largest off-grid power plant in the world. Towards evening, the backup generator is started for a nighttime maintenance of the batteries. They are basically like car batteries, reliable, robust and cheap. There are more than 1,300 on all 3 atolls.
There
is a surprise the next morning. A hole in one of the solar panels. The whole module has to be exchanged. An opportunity for Shane, the technician from New Zealand, to show his apprentice how it's done. How could that have happened? The apprentice overcomes his embarrassment.
It's just our life. Yeah, it's been those carpenters have been playing around with their hammers. Maybe they thought it was a screwdriver.
Solar power has drastically improved the living standard of the close to 1,500 Tokelauans. Tokelau's energy chief has witnessed it.
Oh, it's had quite a significant change of culture on the way people have taken on board the availability of 24/7 power. I remember when I first came here in 1987, there was only about 6 hours power a day if you were fortunate. So since the 11,000 volt energy has been provided, they've sort of become quite accustomed to the use of energy.
I think that's an interesting thing.
This one piece will make 52 layers.
Watch on mobile devices or the big screen, all for free. No subscription required.
One definite effect: people watch more TV, not only kids. Whilst before the generators were switched off at night, the box is now on round the clock. But 24-hour power also means the internet is on all the time. This young girl, for instance, is doing an online language course. Before, she would have had to travel 36 hours by ferry to Samoa. Education over the internet is important for small islands to keep their young people on the island. For their mother, Lomelata, solar power has also changed everything.
Yeah, it has, because now we have full access 24 hours to power, which we never had before, and it's actually quite strong as well. Oh yes, washing machines, the TV, the kids' TV, the internet. Yeah, so it's good having that outside communication 24 hours.
Diesel generator maintenance required a lot of time and personnel, and even then power was only sporadic. Not to mention the consumption of diesel. 2,000 oil drums had to be shipped by ferry over 500 kilometres from Samoa every year. Yearly cost, $1 million New Zealand dollars.
In particular for ourselves and as our company, I mean, this is what we do it for. We love it. It's great to see a community like this reducing their reliance on fossil fuels. And the amount of time it frees up. They used to have someone sitting here maintaining and watching diesel generators all the time, and now they're out fishing.
Long gone are the days when the freshly caught fish were rotting in the freezers because of another power cut. The few cars in Nukunonu have also been replaced by electric vehicles. Golf carts have proven to be very practical all-purpose vehicles. This one is on its way to pick up freight from the ferry. The ferry from Samoa only comes every 2 weeks. It too cannot anchor or dock, and so everything, passengers and freight, has to be offloaded into small shuttle boats with engines running. A cumbersome and risky process. The ferry only stops at each atoll for a short time, and then carries on to the next atoll, which means you may need to wait 2 weeks to get to the next atoll, only 50 kilometers away. That has saved Tokelau from tourism, but also increased its isolation. There is hardly any family or trade exchange between the atolls. More and more freezers and fridges are brought in. Thanks to solar power, no household has to go without them. A cow from Samoa, cut up and frozen for transport. If you haven't felt queasy on the journey, this might just do the trick. The tiresome ferry, as the only connection to the outside world, dictates the rhythm of life in Tokelau. Every order, Every letter takes weeks, and when the ferry fails to come, important things become scarce, like fishing lines, petrol for the outboards, rice, and not least, beer from Samoa. A vaca could be an alternative, at least for transport between the islands. The islands could help each other out, to visit friends and family, or challenge the neighbouring island to a rugby match. That is exactly what the Okeanos Foundation is hoping to achieve, not only reviving the old Polynesian art of sailing, but also offering the islands an adequate and sustainable means of transport. More than 200 visitors arrive on that ferry. Tokelauans from their diaspora all over the world wishing to participate in a church festival. For a few weeks, the population on this island will double from 500 to 1,000. Many are old and want to see their home one more time. Everybody gets a fresh coconut drink. Then their accommodation is allocated. No problem in Polynesia. Hospitality is deeply rooted in this culture. The Catholic Church of Nukunonu is the centre of all celebrations. 150 years ago, the first Catholic missionaries arrived here. Since then, Nukunonu has been 100% Catholic, as opposed to the other islands, where the Protestants were quicker. Lomelata is hosting guests as well, and shows us what she has cooked for them. Fried fish and taro roots, a simple traditional dish and pure delight for the guests.
Oh yes, they'll definitely look forward to the island food. Probably because they hardly have fish back in New Zealand or Australia, which is really expensive anyway back there. But here in Tokelau, it's freely available. I just go out and get it.
In Nukunonu, we meet the Ulu, the spokesman for all three islands, and something like a head of state. We ask him to explain the inati, the Tokelau way of sharing.
Example, when I go out fishing and I get 40 odd bonitos, I'm liable to put it on the table for inati. Somebody that goes out in the ocean or the lagoon and get to collect the fish so much is bound to be on the min.
He has to share it.
He has to share it. It's an issue that when I grew up here, the elders from our ancestors have been here for a long time, sharing our catches, and it doesn't have to be the catches; it can be the grown copper, veggies, and all that.
From brotherly sharing to Christian charity, it's only a short jump. 150 years ago, the first missionaries must have been impressed by their Tokelauan lambs and their inati. In any case, their mission work succeeded 100%. Hostilities against missionaries are not known. Their multi-voiced chorals are based on old Polynesian hymns, with new lyrics from the missionaries. Our vaca is moored off the reef. The anchor is holding, thanks to a relatively calm sea. In February 2005, the same place looked quite different. This video was shot by a local during Hurricane Percy. Storm waves rolled towards the island and the village. Irresistible, like a tsunami, the flood surged through this passage between two motus. The worst cyclone in 50 years flooded large parts of Nukunonu, destroying the school and 80% of houses. A heavy blow to such a small community, especially if you can't run away. The Ulu is in no doubt. Climate change has arrived in Tokelau.
Especially in the hurricane season, coming through, the waves getting bigger, and it's coming into the island, and take the erosions, effects of on the erosion side of things. It's an issue. I hope the bigger countries can have a more focus on this issue, because it's affecting us here in Tokelau.
From Nukunonu, it's about 55 kilometers to Whakaofu, the third atoll. Takes us about half a day in best sailing conditions. Action at the stern. Senio, our quiet Samoan, suddenly turns hectic. He hooked something, a handsome yellowfin tuna. About 10 kilograms, worth hundreds of dollars in the Tokyo fish market. Taurawa from Tahiti fillets it and bites into the raw flesh. His Polynesian forebears only survived their long voyages if they were good fishermen. What does it mean for him to be on a vaca?
Well, to be on the vaca is something I think for atavic. No, it's one. Even if you don't know how, you feel you must do it, and it's also like a kind of stage you go through to become another man in the adult world.
Whakaofu is the southernmost atoll of Tokelau. 62 motus surround the 50 square kilometre lagoon that has many sandbanks. About 500 people live on Whakaofu, most of them huddled densely on a small speck of land. Whakaofu has the biggest population density in Tokelau. Hospital, school and solar power plant have been relocated to another motu high on the horizon. Every morning at 7:30, the school boat departs for the neighbouring motu. On board a gang of noisy kids. Where in the world could you imagine a better school trip than here in Whakaofu? Nine o'clock, the bell calls for prayers. No peeking. Class starts, casually at first, with homework correction. With a camera around, making faces is unavoidable. Then it gets serious, with English class, the most important subject. Bilingual education is the top goal of the curriculum. Most Tokelauans go overseas at some stage in their lives, mainly to New Zealand or Australia, but they shouldn't forget their mother tongue. For only 500 people, Atafu has quite a big school. Because it also offers further education, all the way up to courses from the Regional University of the South Pacific.
We teach all the subjects, need science, math, social science, Tokelau, English, home economics, industrial arts, or technology.
When the kids return to the village police marches along. Today, the Council of Elders, the Taupulega, is meeting. The flag must be raised. Tokelau has its own flag, with the sail and the Southern Cross, a reference to their Polynesian heritage. It's not an independent country though, but a protectorate of New Zealand. But law and order are enforced as well. Village police officer Tavita takes us on patrol and explains the most important rules.
And we enforce both laws, bylaws, which are made by the Taupulega, which is the council of the village elders, and the government's laws, which is passed by the general whānau. There's 6 o'clock curfew in the afternoon, and it's for everybody to go home and get ready for prayer time. And then there's another one, it's 7 o'clock or 6:45, and there's no noise. Nobody's allowed to roam the village or make any noise. And it really started when the church bells rings. That's when everybody's supposed to be in their house saying prayer. And after that, we ring another bell, and it's all right for everybody to roam around and make noise until 11 o'clock. 9 o'clock. And that's a curfew for all the kids, the school kids. They had to go to bed. And then 11 o'clock, there's a curfew for the whole village. You can still roam around, but no noise.
The old men of Tokelau have everything under control. They make the rules and enforce them with strictness. The enviable low crime rate of Tokelau proves them right. The last murder was recorded more than 100 years ago. Theft or burglary makes no sense anyway.
Well, you can't really run away. You're trapped in the island. Offences on this island is mostly the underage drinking. You know, the age limits to drink over here is 20. So usually kids started drinking when they're 16, 18, you know. The other problem we face is the young adults coming from outside. In New Zealand, we know that outside in New Zealand, Australia, the drinking age is 18. But once they get here, the drinking age is 20, and that's one of the problems we face.
The beer in the village shop is rationed. Wine and spirits are not sold at all. Every island has a cooperative shop, offering tinned foods and other household goods. The currency is the New Zealand dollar. If someone can't manage with the basic salary that every adult Tokelauan receives, he's granted credit at the shop.
Sometimes.
No problem.
No. Trust.
Trust.
It's called trust.
Sunrise. The men of the island go out to sea for game fishing. In contrast to the sheltered inner lagoon, it can get quite uncomfortable off the reef. A baiting secret, a la Tokelau. Cut a fish in pieces, wrap a leaf around it, and weigh it down with a coral stone. After all, it's about game fishing, not small fry. And it works. A substantial barracuda is on the line. Late morning, the boats return to the island. Everybody proudly shows off their catch. At the boat ramp, all fish are collected, weighed, and measured. Everything is recorded meticulously, because the catch has to be fairly divided. One boat after another lands its catch, even sharks. Yet the village mayor is not satisfied.
We are not complaining, but it is not a good catch, no, from what we normally catch.
Is it enough to share with the whole village?
It's enough for everybody. We would have loved to have more to distribute it. That is done in our system. You know? It will distribute it according to the size of the family, number of people in the family. So if you have a higher number, you get a bigger portion.
But why was it not a good catch?
We are not catching as much as we used to have before. There are illegal fishing activities within our EEZ, but that is something beyond our control. But with the work that we are doing with our neighboring islands, especially the region, Pacific region, we're trying to stop those illegal fishing activities, especially within our 12-mile zone. We're trying to stop those activities and leave the stock that comes into the territorial sea, 12 miles zone. Leave it for us for our food security.
Sunday afternoon in Whakaofu, the girls of the village play kilikiti, a Tokelauan version of cricket. Lots of fun, but sweaty. Whakaofu is the island in Tokelau that is most affected by climate change and the resulting storm floods. That's why seawalls had to be built around the village. Climate scientists are still disputing whether the sea level really is rising, but it is clear that the frequency of storm floods is increasing. This is a threat to the very existence of flat atolls, says one of the administrators of the island.
Definitely. I mean, you know, we are so glad that we built the seawalls. If we didn't have the seawalls, I think most of the land would have been eroded, you know, and most or part of our island probably wouldn't be here today if we didn't have the seawall. Yeah.
Last year, the people of Whakaofu had a strange experience.
There is absolutely no wind. The weather is calm, and that there is this strong sea surge that nobody seems to know where it's coming from. Strong sea surges has always been associated with cyclonic seasons, you know. But weather patterns have changed changed tremendously. And I truly believe that it has a lot to do with climate change.
Tokelauans therefore have a message to the world.
My message is, we know what is causing all these problems in the world. And why not do the right thing and try and cut down on all this, the causes of all these problems? Because as you can see, we, the small island groups, are most affected about from this, from this climate change.
Three small atolls in the middle of the Pacific have set an example. They are making a humble contribution to stopping climate change. The solar project has been driven by the visionary island chief, Tokelau, who emphasizes its symbolism.
That if a small country like Tokelau can actually succeed in actually meeting its obligation in terms of greenhouse gas emission per person, whether, it's very small, it's too small to make any significant contribution to the greenhouse gas emission of the world in total. But see, little by little, if everyone contribute or make an effort to contribute to the decrease in terms of greenhouse gas emission, what a world will be.
Farewell from Tokelau. 3 small islands at the end of the world. Ancient traditions still being lived today, yet open to the newest technology. Our Vaka voyage to Tokelau has opened our eyes in many ways to the nearly infinite expanse of the Pacific, to the nautical achievements of the Polynesians, to their exposure to natural forces, to the courage to change direction in spite of all traditions, and to a culture of sharing that is almost modern again today.